the difference between just a bunch of if statements and um, an if, else if, else if, else if, else statement. So what is the difference between that? What I mean by that is typically you're going to follow the form if something happens, else if this happens, else if this happens, and these else if things keep repeating, and then at the very end you just have an else statement. What is the difference between this thing and just a bunch of if statements? So let's first off, let's just declare x is 10. We're going to say if x equals 10, then we're going to have x be 11. So if I was going to print what x is and run this code, what this says is that x is 10. We know 10 equals 10. Since this statement's true, I'm going to now declare x to be 11, and it prints off x equal to 11. So let's talk about what this if, else if stuff means. So here is this first statement right here. We could write else if x equals 12, then x equals, I don't know, 9. And if we run this, this seems logical. So if I was going to run this, but there's going to be an error here. So it says file error. And the reason for it is that in Python, instead of writing else if, it's just elif. So let's look at what's going on here. So x is 10. 10 equals 10. So therefore x is 11. And then what happens here is it doesn't check these other commands at all. Okay, it just jumps to print what x is, and x is 11. So let's see what, I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's say I did something like this. So I'm going to make another else if statement. So I'll write elif. So what this will do when it reads this off, it says x is 10. Does 10 equal 10? Yes. So therefore x is 11. And then it just jumps, since this works, it jumps to the very end and it will print x is 11. So if I run this, x is 11. Let's say I had x is 12. So does 12 equal 10? No, it doesn't. So then it goes and it reads the next statement. Does 12 equal 12? Yes, it does. So since this is true, x equals 9, and then it stops reading this other stuff. It jumps right to here and it prints x as 9. So if I do this, we see it returns 9. One thing that is kind of cool, so what you do typically with these else if statements is that you write if, else if, and you kind of write them like as such in that kind of order. And then at the very end, you would just write an else statement. And the else value could be anything. We could say x equals 100. So in this scenario that x doesn't equal 10, it doesn't equal 12, let's say we made it be 15. If x is 15, we know all of these do not work. So what this will do is it'll say x is 100, and it prints x as 100. So let's click on that. So x is 100. So this is much different than this. So if I get rid of this, and I just made these if values, We know that else doesn't really matter. So this if, else stuff is much different than if. So let's talk about what happens with this. So x is 15 here, right? Here, actually, let's change this value to be 10. It says if 10 equals 10, x is 11. Okay? Now x is 11. It says if x double equals 12, then x is 9. Well, 11 does not equal 12, so it doesn't change anything. So x is still 11, and now it reads this. Does 11 equal 10? No. So it's going to print x as 11. So let's see. So it's going to print it as 11. Let's say I was to change this a little bit. Let's say I put this here. So let's say it looks like this. So the way this will read is x is 10. So it says if x equals 10, okay, x is 10, so does 10 equal 10? It does, so x is now 11. So x is 11 on this line over here. Does 11 equal 12? No, it does not. It skips this, so it doesn't give this as an output. We know x is 11 still. Does 11 equal 11? Yes, 11 equals 11. Therefore, x is 7. So what it will do is it will print out the number 7. So if I go over here, it will print out the number 7. This is different. This is different than this. So in this scenario, it just says x is 10. Does 10 equal 10? Yes, it does. Therefore, x is 11. Since that first value was true here, it doesn't read any of the other statements. The first value that it hits where it's true along this if, elif stuff, it says skip to the very end and print out what x will be. So here it will print out the number 10. I'm sorry, it will print out the number 11 because this is the value it will take on when x is 10. So if I click that, it spits out the number 11. So I just want to go over that. A lot of times in programming, I will use this if, elif stuff to kind of deal with a bunch of scenarios, and I just wanted to talk more about that.